our life. And I know that I have found myself many times unsuccessful, frustrated, and angry, right? Like I find myself very angry when I try and try and try and try and try and try and I can't get it. Like I got a few things. I do an epoxy art craft, right? And there's a few different things. It doesn't matter what I try, I still get bubbles. And so like I'm getting frustrated. But I'm not going to quit because I'm going to figure it out, right? But I did put it aside for a little bit. And I know that that's just something that's a little smaller in a comparison. But if I was just to give up, I would sit and for the rest of my life, I would wonder, what if? What if? What if? And the one thing that I've come to realize this week is that I don't want any more what ifs. What if I took that vacation? What if I bought that car? What if I took this new job? What if? What if? What if? What if? I don't want any more. I want to know what it's like. Worst case, I'm not so great at it. Don't really think that it's something that I'm up for. And, you know, and I know my old job would hire me back. But I'm too afraid to take leaps. And this week I sit here mad at myself because of all of the what ifs I've had in this past year. So we will talk a little bit about that after the show. Right now, I do want to go over just a few basic rules. If you're new to featured shows, a couple of our rules as a host is we are to treat this almost as if, let's call it like a podcast, even though it's kind of not, but it kind of is, right? Like I have to pretend like anything from here down on my screen doesn't exist, okay? Now I will interact with you if you are speaking to something pertaining to the topic that we're on. But if you guys want my one-on-one attention, if you want to have a little conversation on here, I shouldn't say one-on-one, but more of my attention, come back at 11, right? Because my attention will be on my guest. We're not supposed to thank you guys for all the gifts. So you will hear me randomly go, thank you guys for all the gifts. You'll see me doing a lot of this, and a lot of this, and a lot of, and that's my way of saying thank you because, I don't know, the wink of the eyes, the hand hearts, just whatever facial expression is different. Oh, I don't know. I make a lot of facial expressions, but anyways, I do try to thank them. But so that being said, guys, I do want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank you for your favorites. I want to thank you for the gifts. And more importantly, I want to thank you for your time because that is one thing you can't get back. Now, that being said, let's move on to the Q&Q. And then we're going to get Papa Bear in the box. So the quote is, you can settle for reality or you can go off like a fool and dream another dream. I'm going to be the damn fool. I'm going to be, our neighbor's moving out today, so he may be barky, but sorry about that, guys. And the question is, what reality in your life would you most like to change? And I kind of already hopped into this. And like I said, for me right now, it's my job. I need something that's going to challenge me a little bit more. I need something that I need a job where I'm respected, where other people put in what I put in. Being alone. Yeah. I think that's kind of big on my list too. But by being alone for me, that doesn't mean for me to get into a relationship, right? Like, because I've been in relationships where I felt more alone than I am now that I've been single for like in damn eternity, right? But I have to find some local friends. Like, I love all of y'all and I love traveling to see you guys. And I love that some of you guys come travel to see me. It's amazing. But I need somebody that can come over here and sit on my couch on a Tuesday night and watch some part of a series of Netflix with me while we eat foods that we're not supposed to eat, that we're going to walk off maybe the next morning for an hour, right? Like, I need local friends. And that's something that's really, 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 really been eating at me. So I did, guys, on February 16th, I'm going out with a group of girls. A bunch of them I haven't seen in a long time. One of them used to work for me and we went to school together. But yeah, I definitely think that for me, it's not sitting in my room so much and just blah, right? Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the favorites, guys. Thank you for the gifts again. Thank you for being here. Papa Bear, I'm going to say about 2 minutes if you're ready. And then we'll go till 10:30. if that's good. But I think that a lot of my, I don't want to call it depression, but it is, it's the brink of, for me, because I know what it's like when I get into depression, and I know that I'm not quite there. I know I'm kind of, I've isolated myself a little bit, but that's just because I find myself, and tell me if any of you guys are like this, right? Like, I used to keep myself so busy so that I never had time to focus on myself, right? I was out, I was either shopping, I was out with the girls, I was out with some guy who knew if I was single, if I wasn't, whatever. I intentionally kept myself so busy that I never had time to focus on the things that I needed to feel better, right? Like, I for years thought that if I just keep myself busy enough, I'll never have to deal with it. And years upon years upon years of that has made me sit here for a couple years where I'm just okay alone. But that's not because I'm trying not to have people around. It's because I know that in that moment, I'm trying to work on myself. I'm trying to rediscover who I am, because I spent years trying to make other people so happy. And I did. I altered who I was so much to a point that I honestly, for years, didn't know who I even was anymore. And just in the last couple years, I've started to discover myself. And that's why I really haven't dated, because I don't know what kind, I don't know what I want. Right? And that's not fair to get somebody involved in my life in that kind of an emotional way if I'm not sure what I want. And so I've got a lot of changes coming my way, and I pulled that thing out of the box. Because I pull these every week, and this is the first one I pulled, and it's been the one thing on my topic. So I knew that this was going to set in. And then I know Vision, his topic, it's going to hit home a little bit with all of this as well. Papa's Bear's always got amazing topics, and it will be a surprise because he is a fill-in. And Papa Bear, I appreciate you. I hope the other young lady is okay. Maybe she'll be able to watch the show and come back on another day, because her topic seemed very like, all right, let's do this too. You know what I mean? Like, I could learn a lot from it. There you go. Okay, I was stuck at work. Adulting. That's what I have to say to that. But Papa Bear, here we go.
Yeah, getting called in last minute is a tough one, isn't it?
It is. But you know what? You're amazing. And I can't tell you how many times I hop into streams, especially shows like this, and Papa Bear's been there to save the day. At this point, we're talking at least a handful of times. Papa Bear is just like, I know, right? Annie's up early again.
Actually, but you know what's cool is I actually have to work at 10 Central. And so I actually was already up when I get Jay's message. And it was so cute. He's like, when's the last time you were on Lessons Learned? I was like, I don't know, last week or the week before.
Last week, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Hey. But
hey, you know what? I'll take it, because you know what, Papa Bear, you've always got a lot of wisdom. And although we look at some things alike, I feel like you have a way to make me see things in a different way a lot, right? Like, whether it's a new topic and I'm like, oh, wow. Or if it's something that I've been dealing with, I noticed that you have a way to phrase it that I'm pretty sure 100 people have tried to tell me, but because it wasn't worded how it felt comfortable. Does that make any sense? Like, you have a way to make the conversations comfortable. Yeah, so I have you on every week if I could.
It does. Or sometimes it's simply, we don't hear a message till we're ready to hear it.
That could be it too.
So it could be a mix. Sometimes it's because, well, I'm ironically one of the few that I know of autistic people who teach communication and interpersonal communication and public speaking, because when I got evaluated, it was funny because the doc was like going through all the questions, and he asked, what do you do for a living? And I said, well, I teach at college. He goes, oh, what do you teach? Being evaluated for autism spectrum at this point. And I'm like, he's sitting there, he's writing his notes, he's got his, pen and paper. It's like, and I have to have my props because I'm a theater guy too. So he's like writing down, and he says, what do you do? You teach. Oh, what do you teach? And I said, public speaking and interpersonal communications. And he just freezes. He stops. He looks up with this like, I'm sorry, what did you say? I know, but I grew up, communication confused the heck out of me. Like I couldn't figure out the rules forever. And so I ended up spending my life in order to survive. And I wasn't diagnosed. I was, close to 50. And I spent most of my life trying to figure communication out, which has had a huge impact on how I approach communication. There's a lot of stuff. Like the topic I brought up in the chat was Osho is a guy, this guru guy who does meditation. And more than that, that's like narrowing it down to like a button. But he has one called Finding the Real Source. And it's the idea that what we feel isn't caused by the other person. The feeling was already here. The other person ended up just being the inspiration or the spark or the situation that allowed whatever we were already feeling to come to the surface so we could identify it.
Yeah, that built up frustration, that built up anger. I have had a lot of that.
Yeah, and then
I'll tell you, and I'm going to be honest with you, that has come out on so many of the wrong people at the wrong time.
Well, here's the thing, though. And while, yes, we want to work on being responsible and respectful when we deal with other people, but think about the other way around. If my coming into your space and that sparks something that's already in you and it comes to the surface and it impacts me, well, guess what? There's something in me that needed to have that happen in order for me to see something.
Yeah.
So we really are just interacting all the time. And so to say it's like, well, it was their fault or no, it just, we have what we have.
That makes me, I can't remember where or who, but someone once told me that when you feel some way, like, let's say jealousy was a big one for me. Like if I seen a young lady and I would say some type of a comment, whatever would come out of my mouth was because it was something that I wanted, but I hadn't been able to work. I had not found a way to, why am I echoing all of a sudden?
I don't know. Let me try.
But sorry, when I hear myself talking back, it is so hard.
Better?
No, but where was I?
When you see maybe when you get jealous, when you have something that she has that you don't have.
Our reactions are really things that are from deep within, right? Like when we're an angry person or if we're a mean person, a bully or something like that.
Not when we are an angry person, not when we're a bully, when we are being angry, when we're experiencing anger, because.
Okay.
There you go. Sorry, go ahead.
So, see, he has a way to word things that are more acceptable and understanding all the way around.
Well, that's that autism showing up like, oh, you're not actually an angry person. You're a person who's experiencing anger. Got it. Go ahead.
In those moments is when we all have to really stop and look at what's making us upset. Because it's not what's in front of us at that moment. Like they might, like you said, someone may have done something that upset us, but if we're that upset over something that somebody else said, especially if we don't know them or something someone else did, if it gets to us, we've got to find why.
Yeah, and we're only going to respond if there's something in us already that feels that way, that has that thought. Like someone can come up, anybody who's come up to me and told me something like, you're an awful dad, or you're a terrible dad, or you don't know anything about parenting, for whatever reason they might say it because of whatever they're going through. It just there's nowhere for it to land, because I look at my life as my life as a parent, and I know I nailed it with my kids. I know I was there for them how I needed to be, and I did what I needed to do. And someone could sit there and try to, throw shade on my parenting, and I'd be like, wonder what they're going through, because they seem to be focusing on parenting or childhood or something, but there's nowhere for it to land. Now, there are other things, like I'm always questioning my musical ability. Someone comes in my stream, depending on how I'm doing, how I'm feeling, if they criticize my music, there are days I'm like, The hell what do you know? You get up in a box, you do. Okay, that's me. And then other days they come in and I'm like, oh, okay, well, you might want to check out another stream then.
Right.
But it has to do with what's in me, the response, not what they did. All they're doing is when someone does something and we respond, we can either point to them and say they're the reason, or we can point to them and say, thank you for pointing out, for helping me see something that I wasn't seeing before.
I think that it's something that I remind myself and then I tell others all the time, is hurt people try to hurt people. And when they're coming at you, I will never dull my light because you think I shine too bright. That's not my problem. Go to another room.
Yeah.
I've dulled myself time and time and time again because other people just didn't like a certain way or a certain thing or whatever. And I'm sorry, but I don't have time for people who don't even have time to fix themselves anymore. Right? I wipe you off, so, and it may sound like I'm a butthead or whatever, but I wipe you off my slate so fast, and it's such a clean break that it is what it is. I don't have time for it. I am mean enough to my damn self, right? And not to mention, I have a 14-year-old daughter. It doesn't get any meaner than that.
Oh, it might. I'm just saying.
Living with a 14-year-old.
But no, 14 is an age. Yeah, it's an age.
So I don't need it from adults, right? Like, yep. I get enough bullying from my own 14-year-old daughter. I'm not.
Well, and here's the good news, bad news about that too, though, is like if like that happens, and I get it, and we cut them off, if it's still a lesson we need to learn, they'll go away, but somebody else will take their place to point it out to us. And the universe keeps giving us that lesson until we learn it. If it's a response, if it's something that provokes us.
No, I'm not saying if I hear something I don't like that I'm going to cut you off like that. I'm saying there's people who don't even take the time to fix themselves, and I see them insulting other people a lot. Yep. Right now, I'm not saying what I changed. I used to be that way, right? Like I used to be that person that was just always with these smart comments, but that was because I was at a phase of my life where I didn't realize that I was the problem. I was unhappy with things in myself and my life and the choices that I'd made, and I had started to take that out on other people. So I did change. I did eventually realize it, and some people learn that at all different points and phases in their life, right? But the old me, it's not something I'm going to deal with. Now, if you come back and I see that you've changed, I'm not saying that I'm cutting you off, but I don't care who you are. If you were in that phase of your life and your goal is to tear other people down so that you can feel better, I don't have time for you.
Yep. No, I get that. And that's interesting because part of all this is so interconnected, because you also talked about, how you keeping busy so you don't have to look at your stuff, or because that's been something, that's what finding the real source talks about too, is in a way, because it's projecting. What finding the real source meditation is about is projecting onto others what's going on here, which is just a way of avoiding working on what we need to work on. You were talking about keeping busy was a way of avoiding. Yeah. We project to avoid. We do all sorts of different things to avoid feeling what we're feeling. And essential to a lot of this is the idea that there's two emotions, and this is my worldview. There's love and there's fear. And when we're in love, it's expansive. Everything, it's positive, it's outgoing, it's getting bigger, it's radiating. When we're at fear, we're contracting, we are holding in. Anger was the one emotion as I was going through here that didn't really fit. I was like, where does anger fit? I mean, fear, sadness, despair, depression, that's all there. Happiness, joy, gratitude are all over here. Where's anger? Anger not being an emotion. Anger is a way we respond, and it's a way that we avoid the sadness or the fear. And if you look at anytime you're angry, right below that, right before you got angry, I guarantee there's sadness, fear, despair, something. And instead of feeling those feelings, we get angry, we project, we get busy so we don't have to feel it. We do all those things instead of just, and that's where finding the real source is so cool. He talks about if you're walking along, this is Osho again, I'm paraphrasing. But if you're walking along and you see a friend and you feel joy, now you could be like, ah, my friend caused that joy. No, the joy was already there. Your friend became the situation that allowed the joy to come to the surface, but it was always there. It was always yours. Same with anger. If somebody comes along and anger shows up, that person is not the cause of the anger. The anger was already there. The sadness, the fear was already there. They just allowed it, helped it come to the surface so you could see it. And then he takes a second step with it, is once you identify that feeling, and cow, sorry, anybody who doesn't see this. Oh, I almost went with giraffe, but but you allow yourself to feel like if it's love or joy, and you allow it to, you become one with it, and you notice it, and you're like, there's that feeling. Then it becomes you. If it's anger or depression or fear, and you allow that to, you own it and you allow yourself to feel it, it will go away. If it's not yours, it's not your. I mean, if it's anger, if it's one of the quote unquote darker emotions, it will
I don't
dissipate.
like that. That just like punched me in the face. If it goes away, it wasn't you. But if it resonates, there's something lying within. Oh,
Well, the idea that, well, actually, that part I kind of misspoke a little bit there. The idea is if it's love or joy, etc., and you become one with it, it will fill your being. You will feel that throughout your being. If
right. But you,
the second part I misspoke, if it's negative and you allow yourself to experience it, it will go away because that's what you did. You just need to allow yourself to feel those feelings, and that's a big part. Is with a lot of work is if you don't let the feelings, if you don't let yourself feel them, like one of the quotes I saw recently is, a child who's not allowed to feel their feelings will never learn how to regulate their feelings. And that's one thing my youngest, young boy, and we're like, when and he was autistic, and it was like he'd have meltdowns about everything, and we'd have to be like, I didn't want to shut him down. I grew up in a house where it was like, I'll give you something to cry about was the mantra. And I didn't want that for him. And I'd read a book. It's called, I think, Emotional Incest or something like that. And it talked about how we, as children, our emotions are shut down, and then we never get to experiencing them. And so he got the message. It's okay to cry. It's okay to let your feelings out. We'd let him cry. And then 3 seconds later, he'd be fine. In fact, he'd come home from school, and if he had a rough day, I'd be like, hey, how was school? And he'd be like, I have to let my feelings out. He'd go to his room. He'd bawl on his bed for about 5 minutes. He'd come out and go, okay, here's what happened. And he'd go and tell me the whole story. But it no longer owned him. It wasn't like this emotion he had pushed down only to have it come back out 20 years later in therapy.
right.
And so that's a big part of it, is we got to allow ourselves to feel those feelings, which is not the same as I'm angry, so therefore I'm going to yell at you or scream at you. That's not owning your feelings. That's acting on
It's
something
acting
to
on.
avoid your feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And therein ends the lesson. No, I just, that seemed like an appropriate thing to say. Uh,
Yeah, I definitely agree 100%. I think that I still react with my daughter like when she man, I don't know how they
oh,
learn to boil your
kids,
blood so bad.
kids are like button finders. They're like, oh, there's a button I haven't pushed on mom or dad before. Bing, there we go. And here's I had a teacher once remind me. It's like, because I'd be like, when am I going to finally learn all these lessons? He goes, how you have lessons to learn? I said, how? He goes, you wake up in the morning and you're alive.
Mhm.
We will have lessons to learn as long as we are on this sphere.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we might as well just get used to it.
I mean, I said because I learn something every day. Even if it's something just silly, like from watching a show or whatever. But we all constantly are learning. Like it's
Well, and I'd say, yeah, we all constantly are given opportunities to learn. Sometimes we take the opportunity and we learn from it. And then there's other times where we just, like I said earlier, the universe will keep giving us the same lesson over and over until we figure it out. Yeah, we all have lessons to learn. We all have daily opportunities to learn. Sometimes we take it, sometimes we don't. But eventually, the situation is going to become big enough that we're going to be like, oh, crap, I should probably learn this one by now. So let's go working on this one.
Yeah, I've been there a few times. Like,
Yeah,
what
and
do
you
you
will.
mean I still? Oh God.
I know, and you will again, and you will next week and next year and 5 years from now. I mean, I'm
I
looking
mean,
at.
I think that I would like to sit here and honestly tell you that I think I have finally learned 99% of like the major adult lessons, the things that make you like an angry adult to just that adult that has learned to let it go. Um,
Yeah.
this involves my daughter. With her, I mean, don't get me wrong, I learned to pick and choose battles and stuff like that. Like I had a really rough night at work yesterday. I come home, she hadn't done her chores, and I let it go till this morning. But I woke her up, and instead of giving her time to lounge around, I told her, I said, if by the time your bus is supposed to be here, you have not done all your chores that you didn't do yesterday, you're not going to ski club tonight. What do you mean? Then she woke up angry in hell. I went lay back down till she was done.
Yeah, and it's a natural consequence. It's like, hey, a natural consequence is being the best way we learn is a natural consequence. The worst way being the imposed consequence. I loved teachers or people I worked with when I worked in treatment centers who would make up consequences for stuff that had no connection to the actual thing.
Right.
And it'd be like, that's only going to teach them that people in power can mess up your life. It's not going to teach them unless you want them to learn. If you want them to learn a lesson, find a consequence that actually fits. If you don't have your room,
So after this, we're gonna talk about how do we get my daughter not to be a disgusting sloppy pig, because I'm tired of her lazy butt being disgusting and dirty. Like, well, but that's for a whole other show, because
yeah.
we're not gonna get vision on here.
This
But
the
y'all, if you
suggestion.
have any
Yep,
ideas, because I have taken stuff away, I have helped her get it back to where it should be, and within 2 weeks, it is trashed beyond recognition again.
yeah.
I don't know. I
I
am
hate to
at my
say it.
wit's end.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but it may take. Okay, this is your room. As long as it's clean, as long as there's no like food where we're going to attract rodents, your room, keep it however you want.
I
But the
tried that.
but the
But
rest of
now
the
I'm
house,
finding in the last few months, I'm finding wrappers and food and pop bottles and
that's
all
where it
that
comes back
stuff.
to.
And
Okay, now we
that's
have to
where
find a different. Yep,
I can't and I won't.
yep. And then you go, we just then you go to no food in the room, no, da, 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 da. I know it's tough. It's tough because they got to find their path. Because if you impose it, my sisters try to impose cleanliness on me all the time, and it never worked, and I still struggle with it. Part of that's the autism that was diagnosed, and you know, that's the other piece. Sometimes you have to look at what are the other factors that might be influencing it, how you can set up a situation, a structure
In 2 minutes.
to support it. Yep. So yeah, but good luck with that one because I'm still struggling with my 23-year-old with that issue. So yeah.
Like I said, I'm not perfectly clean, and I have clutter, right? Like I'm with my plants and stuff. I have plant stuff everywhere all the time. I don't have enough space for it, but yet I keep buying other stuff. So but I don't leave food or empty cups. My dishes are washed most of the time. Maybe I leave a couple cups in the sink or something, but I'm not an organized person, but I'm not dirty. It's clean. I clean my floors. I vacuum. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep, I've got one that actually just came to mind. Is you know what wild rice is?
Yes.
We have it in Minnesota. It's not rice, it's a grain, but it looks like mouse poop. If you take some wild rice and just sprinkle it in the room around areas where they kind of have food and let them discover it on their own, then they kind of freak out like, holy crap, I've got a mouse in my room. I'm just saying.
I might do that in the closet.
various places, and it's just like
I might do that in the closet.
And then they freak out, and then sometimes that makes a huge difference because they realize the impending, oh my gosh, this path is going to lead me towards having a roommate.
What did you learn on Lessons Learned today, Lily? I learned I'm gonna put white rice, the wild rice in my closet, so my daughter stops leaving her wrappers in there. Like I ain't gonna find them when I try to put her clothes away that she ain't done for a week.
Oh, so she's scheming. So it's not just that she leaves wrappers laying around.
She's trying to
Mom,
hide.
I'm going to hide that. Interesting. Well, then you could also maybe just put like a garbage can in her closet.
She's got two garbage cans in her room, and she still just throws it on the floor.
But in the closet, so when she goes to clean up and hide it, she opens the closet and there's a garbage can, and they're like, "Oh, I could just throw it in there. What do you know?"
I'm just over
Random
it.
thoughts.
Like,
It is what it is. It's gonna work out. That's the other piece to remember. It's gonna work out.
and we don't really want mice, yo. We really don't want mice, and there really is not mice here. But we want her to think that there's mice so that she stops leaving food wrappers. Because then I gotta tell her anything, and I'll put it in something like that she really likes. That's not like I don't care about, that didn't cost a ton of money, or I know I can't resell, and I'll shove the poop in it, so she has to throw that whole bag out, which will be fake poop, right? And then maybe from that she'll learn I should clean, organize, and not be disgusting. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep losing all my stuff. That's what we're aiming for.
We'll
But
see
all
what
right,
happens.
Papa
Yeah.
Bear, as always, you're amazing, guys. If you haven't done so already, please favorite him. And we're about to get Vision in the Box. Papa Bear, thank you so much.
And I'm off to work, so you have a great day. Bye bye.
All right, guys. Here we go. We're gonna skip the middle part today. Hello. How are you?
I'm good, feeling fantastic. How you feeling?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
And because Papa Bear and I always talk too much, we're going to let you just dive right into this, and then I'll ask you some of the other questions after.
Well, it goes hand in hand with what we were already talking about, so it's not too far off. One of the vital lessons that I learned in life is definitely ruling my spirit, which that's basically what we're talking about, is basically kind of ruling when we're feeling certain kind of ways, dealing with it, and overcoming it without having to use like other vices or to direct that emotion onto someone else, but being able to handle it within ourselves first, you know? Because I'll tell you about my past as well as present, because I also have a 14 year old. She's 15 now. So yeah, she likes to sneak in and eat ice cream bars and stuff.
Look, but why are they so damn mean?
Yeah, it's
Like,
my 15 year old. This is me. She's
like
mean.
my
She's
son,
vicious.
right? He was stupid. My son was stupid. He did stupid things. He said stupid things. But it wasn't like meant to rip my heart out and stomp on it. Whereas my daughter might not do stupid things, but she rips that heart right out
Mhm,
with just
mhm.
the movement of the tongue. But anyways, I definitely do like this topic, and it's hard for me, I think, sometimes to reel in on who I am, because I spent so much time not knowing who I was. So tell me along, because on the journey of realizing that you can do the things that you want to do, what was it, or what was that turning point in your life that made you realize, okay, we're gonna do
All right,
this?
so we're gonna unwrap some traumas. So basically, growing up, how I had a single parent household, and my mom, she had me, and then she had my sister. So growing up, she was more prone on trying to help my sister and things of that nature. So I kind of grew up at like 12 years old, buying my own clothes, doing my own things. So going through a lot from 12 all the way until now, I learned that it wasn't really a lot of empathy shown towards me or men that looks like me in my community. So I had to learn that, all right, I had one thing I would say is learning from other people's losses, other people's mistakes. I feel like that was the ultimate thing that helped me, because I was already making my own mistakes, but learning from someone else's mistake was a thing. Like, all right, cool. I see if I get that angry and get into a fight, or I get that angry and get into this type of trouble or that type of trouble, that equals this, and the third. So I was like, you know what? I didn't want that for me. I got into some trouble, and then once I started, I had my daughter. I'm like, all right, yeah, I can't act that way anymore, because I have someone that is responsible, or that needs me to be responsible, right? So that's where patience came in. I always had a lot of patience, but in life you're gonna have these people, which you know, Papa Bear was talking about it, which I definitely like hearing that perspective. You're gonna have people that's there to provoke you, you know, and it's like you don't know that they're there to provoke you until you're provoked. And it's like, you know what? There's nothing wrong with being angry. It's a good thing that you're angry, you're human. But I learned that is what you do with that anger that's really gonna show your character growth. Is going to allow you to be more intentional and make wiser decisions if you can handle that anger, if you can feel it. And I know a lot of people that they learn from me, like, yo, why aren't you like this way anymore? And I'm like, nah, I conquered that already. You know, I can't allow someone to provoke me to a point where I come out of my character and then end up having me pay us another lesson. You know, I'm done with learning those type of lessons because I learned it, so I don't want to revisit it. Um, so yeah, definitely not being impulsive. And the frustration is another thing that kind of was a thing that it was hard to deal with. Certain situations where you knew it wasn't fair, certain situations that you know was like um against against you, or you felt attacked, or you felt unappreciative, you felt disrespected. Those were the main things that I felt that I'm like, yo, I have to like really handle it and like control this stuff. So once I was able to not allow any person, place, or thing control me by disrespecting me or unappreciating me, that's when I really kind of like, all right, yeah, I can definitely make better decisions. I can, I could create stronger relationships.
I do want to point out though, because yes, we do have to set our boundaries with people that we interact with day to day, but we are going to run into people who disrespect us, unfortunately, in public and stuff like that. And it's how you react to it that shows who you are. You know, them being the way they are shows that they're not mature. It shows that they're insecure. It shows that they've not worked on themselves, and they're just not a happy person. But like I get the guys cuts you off in the parking space and then is screaming and hollering at you and flipping you off, and like I could react or I can drive off. I in the past probably have reacted. I've probably been gotten out of my car once or twice to holler and yell back and forth. But I've also learned that it only takes one time with the wrong person, and
Yeah,
I don't have what you would call a pew pew. You know what I'm saying? So I've had to learn that just because somebody else is having a bad day, if they want to flip me off and whatever it is that they want to do, that's fine. Let them do it. It I might drive past you if you cut me off when I get that chance and, you know, out the window, but I no longer have the audacity to get out of my car because I don't know what you might do to me. And
yeah,
I've learned I'm not invincible and I'm not as tough as I thought I was. You know what I mean? I'm tough. I can handle a lot. But what am I going to do if I get, I mean, for all I know, they could run me over or something. So, but anyways, my point is, guys, is our reaction to what other people do is what tells us, and that's what says who we are. Our ability to control our own anger is, I guess, becoming an adult.
yeah. And a lot of people can learn from how, and that's one thing I definitely learned is like me controlling my anger is helping other people do it. They feel more at peace. So even if the person that that cuts you off or whatever, they feeling, they have, they're coming at you crazy. Sometimes it's just good to understand, well, number one, I don't know what this person is going through. So I don't want to be the catalyst to, being on the other end of that person's wrath.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes like, look, I want to go back home to my family, you know? I want to go back home to my family. So let me keep myself blameless. Some situations, you still gonna have to deal with some type of altercation, but at least you open up the avenue to having a better success percentage of potentially even making that person be at peace. Especially like when you go on here and I do like verses and stuff, sometimes I get some people that are literally going through some crazy things and they want to just project, right? And sometimes you just gotta skip. Sometimes, you know, because they want to definitely try to engage and stuff like that. But for me, I just, hey, look, you all right? I try to help them and I still try to use as much patience as I could. And sometimes they kind of turn around and, you know what? I appreciate you that you asked me that. I was going to be, you know, a pain, whatever. I don't use the wrong terminology, but you know, you get it.
I've turned a lot of trolls, but I've also blocked a lot of trolls. Um, Again, kind of with what I said before, guys, hurt people, and if they're coming at you for literally no damn reason, it's a reflection of something that they see in themselves. So you know what I mean. And I, like you, be like, dude, what are you going through? Well, why? You know what I mean? Like, talk to me, man. Because like, seriously, the hell did I do to you? But a lot of times they'll leave, right? 90% of the time when you're like, dude, talk to me like you are, they leave because they can't they want you to be like and start yelling and screaming. They want that reaction, but they're not gonna get it. You know what I
Correct.
mean? Not from me. Like, dude, you all right? You know what I mean? Like, now if they get vulgar or they start going after someone else in my stream, I immediately remove them because I'm not going to deal with that either. But you can come at me all you want.
Yeah, you cut off the, you know what I'm saying? I can cut the energy, the emotion, the, you know, the attack coming from me by simply, you know, skipping whatever, you know, but also sometimes we can't do that in your household. You know, you may feel that same kind of way in your household, and sometimes you got to find other things to, you know, you know, to help you. And I wouldn't say to find advice because a lot of people they say, you know, I want to go do this, that, and the third, but something that is productive. Like even like you were talking about, you know, making sure that your daughter keeps her room clean. You know what I'm saying? With my daughter, because I have an older daughter who completely is like more tidy. She's like clean. She like keep things tidy. So with my other daughter, I would try to show her, look, this is how you clean it. This is when I say clean your room, I help her. This is how I want it. When I say clean it, this is how I want it to do. Help her clean it with her and stuff like that. And engage with her with different things, you know what I'm saying, as far as like cooking, because everyone loves to eat in the house. Let you know, like, all right, let's cook. But look, how we're gonna cook is we're gonna clean as we go. So they can kind of take that lesson into, you know, when they're chilling in their room eating snacks, look, clean as you go.
Yeah. I've tried everything with her. Like when I tell you, aside from just going in there and emptying the room, I don't know what else to do. And we'll have places for everything. And then I wake up the next day and it's all over it's almost as if she's got like a little mini tornado that goes through her room, all of the bins one by one, and just throws half of it out, like, or a gremlin or like a closet troll or something like that, you know? It's like ah. But you know what? The little mess isn't my problem. Like I said, it's food stuff. That's where I have to draw my line, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I do I do find it extremely difficult. I find teenagers to be difficult in general, though.
Yes.
At this point, when she's 14, I got what, 4, maybe 5 more years, and she'll kind of come turn around.
But yeah, that's basically, you know, the lesson. And I just want anybody out there to know, because this is one thing that people try to attack me with it. They try to say, oh, you're soft or you're different now, and I want everyone to know that you're not soft because you're not reacting to someone trying to provoke you. You're actually stronger, and that's actually a superpower. Not allowing any person, place, or thing to be able to influence you or affect you or to make you come out of your character is a superpower. It is not just one superpower, it's the superpower of being able to have patience, It's a superpower to basically strengthen other relationships, make wiser decisions, not be impulsive, to, be, so it's like a multitude of superpowers in one superpower. And that's the thing. Now, even now, I'm still trying to fully master, rule my spirit and have master self-control. Oh, thank you.
That's
Appreciate it.
what my papa used to tell me. It takes a bigger person to walk away.
Yeah.
And I do. I, as hard as that is at times, it is definitely true. But before I let you go, guys, make sure you guys are favored in Vision. If you're just tuning in, I'm Silly Lily. This is Lessons Learned. Vision, tell these guys, when do you stream? What are your streams like? And do you have any other shows or events that you've got going on?
So I stream barely like from 8 p.m. or later on in the evening Eastern time. I go into anything of different books, law books, scriptural books. I In my creative streams, I do photography, graphic design, videography. So we go into a lot of creative stuff too as well. I cook a lot. We love to eat. So you're gonna definitely see me eating or drinking teas or talking about herbs and stuff. Like as we pulling herbs out of anywhere. So
I'm
we
wanting to
go
get some of that oil of oregano. I hear it's really
yeah,
good.
you see that? Yeah.
I hear
There's
it's good.
one drop, two tops, but one drop. That's all you need.
I've been trying to find the more natural stuff. There's a couple of those books you see on TikTok, the holistic and the Amish ways and the home remedies, and I think that I'm gonna drop probably around $100 on a few of the books here pretty soon, just because it's true. Like, the more you're
Yeah,
learning and the more I'm researching and the more I'm understanding about what's going into our foods and our medications and whatnot, that's like a whole other topic, right? Like, we could probably dive into that a whole other day. But guys, I'm telling you, these natural remedies. I've been sick all this winter, and guess who's not been to the doctor? And I did break down and bought some Delsum for my cough last week because I couldn't sleep. But other than that, like, I've been using natural remedies, like boiling oranges with whatever. I don't even remember the recipe, but it was mostly oranges, and then like onions in my socks, like natural remedies. And some of it does work. It's crazy. But so yeah, after 8 p.m. Lots of fun stuff. I want to see some of those photography things. That's one of my favorite things to do,
I
is
was saying, and
pictures.
I believe I'm doing was it forgot the name, but it's a future show with Aisha, words with words. I'll be doing that.
Nice. When
Oh,
is
pins
that?
down. That's what it's called. Pins
Pens.
down.
I was trying. I'm like, I know this show. I know this show. I know. I couldn't. I'm like, I knew it was something with writing too or whatever, but I couldn't. I couldn't get it either. But all right. So when is that?
But that's going to be Sunday, 2 p.m.
Sunday, 2 p.m.
Yes.
That's someone else's on that show. Big Bats. Bats, I think, said this morning he's
Yeah,
going to be
this
on that
board.
show.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. That'll be awesome. I will be at work, but I'll try to pop in if it's not super busy.
But we talk about everything under the sun. For some reason, a lot of my streams actually end up like this, where people like ask me for like advice, and I'll just tell them personally what I feel. But at the end of the day, your last counselor is the voice that talks to you in your head. So just trying to give positive, reinforcement to my friends and my stream family. Um, but yeah, this was definitely a pleasure. I appreciate all of y'all in the chat. I appreciate you for having me on your platform.
Of
This was
course.
definitely
I
dope.
do. I appreciate everyone that gets on this show. Vision, you're amazing. Thank you so much, guys. Again, make sure you're favorite at him. And at Vision, you have a wonderful weekend. And I will try to stop in to see you Sunday or
You
sooner.
too.
Bye. All right, you guys. If you're just tuning in, you missed another amazing episode of Lessons Learned. Today was like just a smorgasbord of growing up, things you need to do to be an adult. Ugh. I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's so overrated, but necessary all at the same time. I think that the biggest lesson I'm taking away from today for myself, with all the many things that we talked about, is that one, I have to find a new way to try to fix things with my kid at times. Because, like he said, and he pointed out, sometimes a punishment isn't related to the lesson. And that one kind of stung a little bit, right? That one stung because there's a lot of times that I just take devices away, or I send her to bed, or, just whatever it is. It's not a punishment that is related to what the lesson is. So that is definitely got me kind of in my feels a lot, and it kind of threw me off a little bit for Vision. And I was definitely more thinking about my daughter and all of that stuff in that moment. It made it a little hard to focus. Like, even right now, I'm like, damn it, man. Because when you're talking with people, and we're all human, we all make mistakes, and none of us are perfect in how we raise kids, especially. Like, I don't know any such thing as a perfect parent, right? But did you guys hear that? But I think it's important that that wasn't on my end. That was something weird in the background from like another stream. Yes, crossfeed. Thank you. But I think for me, as I'm sitting here right now, and having heard that, I'm gonna say I got a little guilt. I feel a little guilt. But also I don't, because at 14 you goddamn know right from wrong. Like, you know what I expect. Just do it. Now, when she was younger, I was a lot more patient. But I definitely think that I have to. Now someone's talking. I have to remain focused on, in that, if whatever the punishment. Why can't I have one stream where I don't have crossfeed, or I don't get kicked for no reason? Like, hi guys, welcome. Once these people start talking, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, how, I wonder. Hello everybody, welcome. Hold on, I don't know what's going on here. All right, so anyways, guys, we got 1 minute. I can hear somebody. They're like late. You can hear the rustling. Doors. Okay, so if you just missed the last hour, you missed one wonderful episode of Lessons Learned. The distractions today are just something of an unreal nature for me. So between my own lessons learned from both of my guests today, because both of them had amazing ideas and ways to focus on becoming a stronger, more intelligent human, like, literally. And mood swings, absolutely. I'm in menopause, bro. Like, I mean, that's just a given. And if you're not ready for it, good morning. It's 11 o'clock. Show over. Oh, this is the longest hour of my life to, like, I can't vape, I can't anything. But I love my show, and I do anything for it to keep it going, because of days like today where I may seem distracted or frustrated, but it's going to do something to change who I am as a person, and to help me mature, and to help me grow. So although I may ramble a lot when I'm learning, it's only because I'm talking myself through things out loud with you guys. And I hope that you guys understand that I do share a lot of my personal stuff with you guys, probably more than most people should, but that's for one simple reason. It's to normalize that this is basic adulting. Teenagers suck, they're mean, and we could talk about it and vent about them, but sometimes we're not doing something the right way, and somebody says something and they don't even mean to say it to you. They're simply having a discussion, and you go, oh my God, I could totally work on that. I can fix that. I can change that. But that's maturing. That's adulting. That's growing up. That's being responsible. Hello, everybody. And that's when you realize that you're not a child, is when you're able to. Now, I grew up way late in life, okay? But I grew up an angry teen, and I was a moron, as Reba would say, moron, for a long time. Like all through my 20s, I was a dipshit. I'm going to tell you right now, not proud of my 20s whatsoever. But it was part of my past. It is what I did. It is how I coped. And I look back and I'm not going to say that I have regrets, but I do. I mean, I do, but I don't. I wouldn't change the way that things went because it's made me who I am today. And don't get me wrong, I have a lot of work to go to do to be who I really feel I can be. That's more so on a work level, right? Like, but for me as an adult, to be a friend or a lover, and as a mom and as a gaga, I feel like I've really come a long way. Velma, I have missed your face. And I'm proud of who I am today. And it's because of the mistakes that I made and the dumb things that I did that made me a mom that could handle my son. And I knew what was coming because I'd already done it. I don't care how smart you think you are. I've done it, kiddo. You can't get away with it. Right? Like, kid, I was an idiot. I did all that dumb stuff. I already know. I know the warning signs. I know the side effects. I know what you look like the next day. I know what you act like before you go out. Like, stop. So it did allow me, I think, to save him in one way or another. And then it also, when you finally do pull yourself out of it and start facing all the things that you buried and covered with substances and things, you know, and once you start facing those and it's not drowning your sorrows, literally, you literally start to grow and to change. And it's crazy because there was once upon a time that I didn't think I could get through my life without a drink or some other things that I'm not proud to say that I did, right? But now I sit here today and yeah, I like my trees, love my trees, not gonna lie to you guys, okay? But the trees took over several medications for anxiety and depression and sleeping and stuff. So I'm not even mad about it, you know, but the rest of it, I just don't even have a taste for. And the last thing I want when I'm pissed off is a drink. Whereas that was the first thing that I went to back in my 20s. I was pissed off. I'm going to get drunk and to say F it and forget about it. Right. But now I know when I'm angry, the last thing I need is a drink because that's how I find trouble. Duh. I'm angry at the world. Let's go get drunk and do the stupid things so that I get in trouble. Now I'm in trouble and I'm angry. Like, what logic in my head I had in my 20s blows my mind, you guys. Like, how and why nobody took a baseball bat and clobbered me upside my head for a reality check blows my mind. But I am a very stubborn, independent individual. So there wasn't anybody that was going to tell me any different. And my family knew that. And as hard as it was for them to sit back and watch it, I know today, as upset as I was in that moment and back in my 20s, I now realize that I was impossible. Right? I was impossible. Talking to me and coming up to me to try to have a conversation. If you said one thing I didn't like, I'd rage. I had no emotional regulation. I didn't care to have it. And it only got worse because, exactly, Mama. Yes. But guys, I was just an angry teen. I was an angry teen and angry and through my 20s. You know what I mean? Not proud, like I said, not proud of it, but I am proud of who I am today. Even with my menopausal hormonal yo-yo of emotional disaster. I'm gonna call it an emotional disaster most days. Like, y'all, I was watching Night Agent on Netflix, and like, It had me crying and laughing. Like, I was feeling all the emotions like I'm part of the show in real life. Like, it was my real life. And it clearly wasn't. It's clearly the hormones just being whatever old hormones do, right? And something, and ladies here, listen to this. Let me talk about this. So I, again, have not done full-blown research. I don't know if any of you can get into this. And guys, listen too, especially if you've got a lady that's entering menopause or in the perimenopausal phase of life. A women's job, our job, and what keeps us going is our ability to procreate, right? So when our procreative stuff hits this phase in our life, our body stops sending the useful vibes, right? Like when we're losing the ability to have kids, our hormones and our emotions are telling our brains that we're not as useful, we're not as needed, we're not as we're not a necessity anymore. Like our brain, our hormones try to trick our brains to make us feel like we're less because we can't make babies. But I'm here to tell you, bitch, our life is just beginning because we can't have no more babies. We're not about to have to deal with the monthly periods. And once the menopause stuff is over, we'll lose that weight, be ready to go. And you know what? I can't wait for that day. And I know it might take up to 8 years. And yes, guys, it can take up to 8 years for a woman to fully finish that part of her life. But you guys need to understand, when a woman is in that state, she doesn't need you to belittle her or to rip her apart or to yell at her. She needs you to understand that she feels so little about herself because that is what her hormones are telling her. She needs your reassurance. She needs you to tell her it's going to be okay. She needs you to be there for her, not put her down because her hormones and her body is doing what every godforsaken woman's body does. And that I truly believe is why a lot of people hit menopause. You know why? And then they just end a relationship, okay? Because a woman finally hits that point in her life where she says, fuck you. If you are not there to benefit me, where we cannot raise each other up to be better together, I am just fucking done. I'm no longer going to take your bullshit. I don't have the energy for it. And that is where a lot of these, because you people, I want to say men, most men don't understand, or they refuse to accept that for that time period, it's really not our fault we're crazy. We really don't mean it. We really don't. Like, I have to apologize to my daughter quite a lot because we'll have little things and I will find myself exploding, right? Like, and I have to come back and go, I'm sorry. Like, you know, sometimes you explode at me and you don't know why, and you got to come apologize, because we do apologize to each other when we explode. Like, that is something, like, it is okay to explode. Like, we don't like it, but it happens. You know, we're a very hormonal teenager and a very hormonal mid-40s mama over here, you know? So, like, it's bound for us to clash. But my one rule is we will apologize. It doesn't have to be right away, and we both get the time that we need to breathe, right? But, like, she understands I don't mean it. But I have to explain that to her. I have to tell her, like, I am like, and I'll be in tears, you know, because in that moment, I have no control. Even though I know that what I'm doing in that moment needs to shut up, I need to just shut up and walk away, I'm still going, I told you to do that. And I'm that crazy person. I'm the one that I'm like, dude, I don't ever want to be like that. I don't want to sound like that. I don't, but like, also, you don't push all those buttons, kid. Like, how do you expect me to react sometime? You know? And but you guys, I really think that if you're unaware of menopause and what it does to a woman and how literally crazy we feel, you might have a little more sympathy towards us, because I always was like, menopause, that's stupid. So what? Hot flashes and get a cool rag. But now I'm going through it. It is so much more than hot flashes. It is a whole new way of living. Like I eat less than I did before, and I've gained 15 pounds this year. Like, what the holy hell? I walk 60 to 70,000 steps a week minimum, and I'm still gaining weight, whereas I was walking half that before. Like, and that makes me mad, right? Like, and then I eat certain foods and it gives me heartburn or gas. Like, I eat eggs now or onions and I get gas. I can't eat eggs or onions before I go to work because I don't know what's going to happen when I'm taking an order. That was new. Learned that the hard way, you know? It is insane. And I'm not saying this because I'm trying to expose all my crazy menopausal things, but I really feel like a lot of my crowd is, you know, around my age or knows people my age or about to not too far from being my age. And if I'm a woman and I didn't realize, what did you say? You can, I ended the show at 11. I've been cussing for the last 12 minutes. Stop it. No, but seriously, you guys, like,